Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stew again, and today we're going to make an effect in Dreams for PS4. I initially was going to make this a health power-up effect, but plans changed and it turned into a fiery explosion. Let's go. I'm starting in paint mode as all visual effects do. There are many ways to make a visual effect. As an explosion is one time and short term, it's relatively simple compared to other types, so it's a good intro to making effects. I've chosen random yellow color, I'm in brush flex mode, and I'm going to drag a line of painting from one point to another. I don't want to use rule flex to do this like I normally might because I want to change the shape and orientation of them as I move my imp. I did that with the camera looking straight down on the plane to avoid my imp moving in the Z-axis while I'm brushing. As far as making a painting goes, that's really all that's involved in making an effect. Most of the rest takes place in the painting menu or in a timeline, which we'll try in another video later. I'm going into the menu of the painting. Keep in mind at this point I'm still attempting to make a health power up, so I'll skip around a bit. The various tabs I'm showing involve animations, and those are the ones we'll use to turn the painting into an effect. I've clicked R3 and have time playing. I'm in the animation tab and am dragging animation speed above 0%. This will get the painting flowing from the first fleck placed to the last. Now in the stroke properties tab, I can change fleck density to create gaps in the flow of the animation. The fade in and fade out boxes will cause the ends of the painting to do just that. You can also cull the ends with the start point and end point sliders above fleck density. A lot of the time the magic happens in the duplicates tab, and it's the reason why you only need to lay down a single simple painting for many effects. I've clicked all directions under rotational duplicates, and that causes many copies to emanate from the point of the beginning fleck outward. You can also create positional duplicates of different types. We don't need this since our explosion starts from a single point. But just as an example, many weather type effects use a round camera to make it seem like the effect is happening everywhere. You can change the amount of copies made, the separation if you're using rotational duplicates, and also the scale jitter. Scale jitter makes random sizes of the painting, with deviation from the original increasing as the slider is dragged to the right. It's about this point that I realize I've made an explosion, and I'm very happy to have made it. I need to make it look like fire though, so I'm going to mess with coat properties a little. I'm going to crank glow until I get a nice fiery middle. I'm realizing here that the glow kind of works its way through the animation. I'm back in the animation tab and I'm going to speed it up. This only needs to play one time, so I'm taking it off the loop, and that ends up looking like this. While I'm building the effect though, I'm going to leave loop on so I don't have to restart the effect a million times. In style mode now, I'm trying some different fleck types because the standard heavy fleck has a stylized kind of digital feel to it in this context. The whole thing's a little thin and linear, so I'm looking for ways to fill the space out. In fleck properties now, adjusting impasto and ruffle. Also going to try some looseness, and I'm starting to like what I see. It's all a little uniform and glowy, and I want it to spread out from the source, so I'll try Pulse in the animation tab. In motion, that's a little more what I'm looking for. You get slight variations of that by adjusting time offset. I've decided it needs a little red, so I'll add some. And then screwing around with the finish, I run into something I really like after cranking metalness, where it looks a little like molten chunks flying everywhere. Doing some fine adjustments at this point, but I've cranked shininess and turned down metalness a little. If you don't know, all sculpts and paintings have built-in animation types that are baked into a slider, so they're a little simpler to use. Those are in the effects tab. I'm going to try a few and see if anything happens that I like. I'm happy with that, but have decided I want some smoke or debris billowing out from the point of explosion, so I'm moving my effect to the origin to keep everything lined up. From there, I'm going to make another painting for the smoke. This painting will be similar to the first, different fleck type and more compact so it doesn't look like stuff is flying everywhere, but sort of puffing out. This is in random brown. The process with this painting is about the same as the first, with slightly different settings to get a different materials feel. Slower animation, again reflecting a puffy, billowing motion rather than stuff flying everywhere. I'm also messing with resizing a little, as the size of the two paintings relative to each other gives you different looks. I'm happy with that. Now I want to add some sound. I'll do that with a timeline. I'll use the timeline not only to play the sound, but also to power the paintings so I can control when they start to animate. I'll do that with a switch wired to the power of each of the paintings. I'm grabbing the sound from the Dreamiverse. In this case, I'm using Fire Burst by Media Molecule. Place that into the timeline so it plays while the paintings are powered. Fire Burst is a one-time sound, so you don't have to mess with changing it any. And then resize the timeline so that it ends as soon as your effect is done, thereby giving you full control of the sequence. The effect plays a little slow, so I'll adjust it in the timeline menu. Notice I also have playback mode set to once so that it only plays when we want it to and so that it doesn't loop. I realize you can't hear it, but the explosion sounded a little thin, so I'm going into the menu of the sound and tweaking some properties, trying to add some bass to give it a fuller, reverberating feel. And here's what it looks like. You can find this in the Dreamiverse as Fiery Explosion, that's F-I-R-E-Y. I will hopefully be doing a video about how to make a tree fairly quickly. After that, school's starting back up, so I'm not sure what will happen as far as channel content goes. Anyway, that's all for this time. I'll see you in the Dreamiverse.